When the interdimensional vortex opened, tens of thousands of heavenly demons poured down in a rain of blood. Only then did Chinmu realize this time he had provoked a catastrophe capable of drowning an entire city. Heavenly demons descended from the sky like a torrential downpour, attacking the soldiers who were fleeing in all directions. Chinmu himself was smashed into the ground by several heavenly demons falling from above. With a series of thunderous crashes, 6 or 7 heavenly demons slammed down not far from him and slowly rose to their feet. Chinmu was no stranger to heavenly demons. When he had traveled through the great ruins at night with the village chief, in search of the land of no worries, he had encountered heavenly demons before and slain quite a few of them. The bodies of heavenly demons were powerful, their appearances bizarre and grotesque, utterly unlike humans. Moreover, they cultivated demonic chi, excelled in close combat and spellcasting, and possessed strange divine abilities, though their techniques lacked the finesse of those of the human race. The moment these heavenly demons hit the ground, Chinmu's figure flashed to the side of one of them. He raised his hand and slashed downward, severing its head, then immediately twisted aside to avoid the scorpion tail of another heavenly demon sweeping toward him. The pitch-black hook at the tip nearly snagged him, almost leaving him dangling from the tail. Chinmu brought his fingers together and thrust forward. The Xiaobao sword pierced straight through the heavenly demon that had yet to retract its scorpion tail. He withdrew his hand, hooked it behind his back, and unleashed the heavenly demon freedom seal, ripping the soul out of a heavenly demon, closing in from behind and instantly shattering it. Warrior. From afar, a bull-headed heavenly demon pointed at him and shouted, "Viu Nalama, Abuluji Naudi, Dinajia Hong warrior, I challenge you. Come on, who's afraid of whom?" Chinmu roared as his vital energy erupted, activating the hegemonic body 3 cauldrons technique. The bull-headed heavenly demon let out a savage howl and charged forward, dragging behind him a massive saber over 3 zhang long. The blade scraped against the ground, throwing off sparks and arcs of lightning as he rushed in, then bellowed and cleaved straight toward Chinmu. At that very moment, a gigantic serpent thundered down from the sky, crushing the bull-headed heavenly demon into pulp. Long Chaonan controlled the massive python as it landed, its tail sweeping sideways like a colossal iron pillar rolling across the battlefield, pulverizing dozens of charging heavenly demons in its path. Chinmu dodged back in haste. Long Chaonan was about to press the attack, when suddenly a vast black mass, countless heavenly demons descended from the sky. Even though her cultivation surpassed Chinmu's by 2 or 3 major realms, she was still forced into a bitter struggle. Shima too found himself surrounded. Hulinger immediately summoned a cyclone that spun around them, yet heavenly demons still forced their way through the whirlwind, crashing toward the group. More and more heavenly demons surged in from the other world. Seen from afar, they resembled swarms of flies pouring out of Dutian, blotting out the sky. The patriarch said that disasters one brings upon oneself should be cleaned up by oneself. If possible, this time I can't clean it up. Cold sweat broke out on Chinmu's forehead. Suddenly, a brilliant light shone forth from the south. The radiance moved across the sky, illuminating heaven and earth as bright as day. The light grew ever more dazzling as it rapidly advanced from the south. Wherever it passed, countless heavenly demons fell from the sky, heads and bodies torn apart. Chinmu looked up, his heart jolting. That light was a sword formation composed of innumerable flying swords. The sheer number of flying swords was impossible to count. Within the sword formation, thousands of sword rings spun at high speed. The sword rings resembled layer upon layer of radiant moons. As they rotated, flying swords shot out, thrusting, cleaving, slicing, cutting, enclosing, and flinging, slaughtering heavenly demons one after another in mid-air. The sword formation was unimaginably vast. The light emitted by every single sword was blinding. There must have been several million swords in total. Their combined radiance was nothing short of awe-inspiring. Though the heavenly demons flooding out of Dutian darkened the sky, once the dazzling sword formation swept through the heavens, quickly cleared, leaving behind only countless corpses plummeting from the air. Within Tianbo City, the expression of the Dutian demon king changed drastically. He let out a furious roar and hastened the descent of his true body. The chants of hundreds of heavenly demons around the altar thundered forth as they used demonic language and countless bones to summon the true form of the Dutian demon king. The sky trembled violently. A colossal leg extended from another world, surrounded by surging demonic flames that burned the heavens crimson. At the same time, the sword formation in midair abruptly changed direction, howling as it surged toward Tianbo City. Its scale was so immense that it nearly enveloped the entire city. Inside the city, the Dutian Demon King roared, raising all 8 arms high. Amid a deep humming sound, a massive black barrier appeared above Tianbo City, blotting out the sky. In the blink of an eye, deafening crashes erupted, the shockwaves causing countless people's eardrums to bleed. It was the sound of flying swords colliding with the black barrier of the Dutian Demon King. The clanging erupted almost simultaneously, overwhelming the hearing of everyone present. Chinmu's ears went numb as well. He could no longer hear anything at all. Around him, countless heavenly demons clutched their ears and crouched on the ground, writhing in extreme agony. Across the river from Tianbo City in Wuding Prefecture, countless soldiers of the Diankang nation were resisting the invasion of the heavenly demons outside the city walls, fighting until heaven and earth were shaken. The deafening noise produced when swordlight collided with the black barrier was enough to make innumerable soldiers suffer unbearably. Fortunately, the distance was great enough that they could still endure it. From the surface of the river came a series of plop-plop sounds. Those were heavenly demons attempting to fly toward the opposite bank, only to be blasted from the air by the shockwaves and fall straight into the river. On the battlements of Wuding Prefecture, an old general with snow-white hair revealed a look of astonishment and said, "National Preceptor, a great expert, has arrived on the other side of the river." Duke Wei, the National Preceptor of the Diankang nation, replied, "This person is far more than just a great expert." Standing at the forefront, the National Preceptor gazed toward the far bank and said, "His strength is not far below my own, perhaps slightly stronger, than the 3 old monsters who once joined forces to besiege me." Duke Wei showed a puzzled expression. He assessed the Dutian Demon King, who was locked in combat with the sword formation, then raised his head to look at the sky. There, half of the Dutian Demon King's true body, one massive leg, had already stepped into this world. Unable to comprehend it, he said, "Who summoned this Demon King? That's far too ruthless. Could it be that the people of Nanjiang, the southern frontier, would resort to anything for the sake of victory?" Inside Tianbo City, the Dutian Demon King let out a pained groan. His 8 hands were a mangled mess of blood and flesh. The onslaught of countless sharp swords was truly terrifying. The force transmitted through them was more than this body of his could endure. If his true body had descended, he would naturally have been able to withstand it. However, this body was merely fashioned from wooden materials. Chinmu had summoned him using demonic sound techniques, but Chinmu's cultivation was far too weak, limiting the amount of power that could be transmitted through him, nowhere near enough to contend with the expert commanding these innumerable flying swords. At that moment, the Dutian Demon King saw a middle-aged man walking toward him from the opposite bank of the river. His mind tightened as he focused intensely, preparing to divert a portion of his strength, when suddenly he saw swordlight rushing straight toward his face. What an astonishingly brilliant sword strike it was! That sword contained the most profound and wondrous principles of the Sword Dao. It unleashed the transformations of the Sword Dao and refined its killing intent to absolute perfection, like the most exquisite and beautiful image unfolding before his eyes. To behold such a scene, even death would be worth it. And he did die. His head was struck by that beam of swordlight. The head, bearing 4 faces and 12 eyes, rolled off his neck and fell to the ground. The National Preceptor of the Diankang nation sheathed his sword and strode into Tianbo City. The heavenly demons within the city, who were presiding over the altar, saw the middle-aged man approach, and immediately countless heavenly demons surged forward, charging at the National Preceptor. In the next instant, the massive corpse of the Dutian Demon King collapsed to the ground. The enormous black barrier shattered as well, disintegrating in mid-air. The countless flying swords that had been attacking the black barrier suddenly withdrew, plunging back into their sword rings. Thousands of sword rings, each no larger than a fingertip, floated in the sky, spinning slowly. At that moment, a wooden chest flew in from afar. Its lid opened and innumerable sword rings clattered and roared as they poured into the chest. The National Preceptor stared at the wooden chest in silence, deep in thought, not moving at all. Behind him, the army of the Diankang nation was crossing the river and charging into Tianbo City, launching a brutal slaughter as they engaged the heavenly demons in close combat. With no one left to preside over the altar, the soul-shaking summoning ritual abruptly ceased. The vortex in the sky, which had been expanding ever larger, immediately stopped growing and then slowly began to shrink. The true body of the Dutian Demon King had managed to step one leg into this world, but under the pressure it was forced to withdraw. From deep within the heavens came a faint, furious roar, filled with extreme unwillingness. Outside Tianbo City, Chinmu was also staring up at the wooden chest, hovering in mid-air. his face filled with confusion. This chest looks very familiar. It seems like the chest from the village's blacksmith shop. The wooden chest was also filled with silver pills. Granny Sai even told me those weren't sword rings at all, just ordinary silver pills. She also said that dumb Grandpa couldn't possibly have that much money. He watched as all the sword rings in the sky entered the wooden chest. The chest then began to descend slowly. Chinmu hurriedly sprang into motion, rushing toward the spot where it was about to land. The wooden chest hit the ground and vanished into a stretch of forested mountains. Chinmu shouted as he charged forward, only to see an old man in coarse cloth, carrying a steel forge on his back and holding a wooden chest in his hand. His face was weathered, deeply lined by the passage of years. When the old man saw Chinmu running toward him, he grinned broadly. There was no tongue in his mouth.